Back in 2017, Gigabyte released the BRIX Gaming 1060, a gaming PC small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, yet somehow priced like a full-sized desktop. At the time, it sounded like the perfect machine, serious gaming power without the massive case. But the more I looked into how Gigabyte managed to cram this much performance into something so tiny, the more I started wondering, what did they have to sacrifice to make it work? So today, I bought one to find out. Can this nearly decade-old mini-gaming PC still handle modern games in 2026? And more importantly, how far can we upgrade it? Let's find out. Of course, if I wanted to find out, I first had to actually buy one. So I started by checking Facebook Marketplace for anything available near me. And nothing. Not a single listing. Finding one locally was basically impossible. So I moved over to eBay, and luckily I found 2 of them for sale. But then I saw the prices. Are you serious?
No!
I couldn't believe these things were still selling for this much. This machine came out 9 years ago. It's old, but it's not exactly a collector's item, and the asking prices definitely don't reflect the performance you're actually getting today. Maybe the sellers figured that throwing in a huge SSD and a ton of RAM somehow justified the price. But paying nearly $1,000 for a gaming PC from 2017? Yeah, that's not happening. I definitely couldn't afford that, and since I couldn't find another one anywhere else, I decided to try negotiating. I sent the first seller an offer of $300, along with a message explaining why I was offering so much less. Hopefully, I didn't offend him. Then I waited. 2 hours passed, nothing. 5 hours later, still nothing. At that point, I was pretty sure I'd lowballed him so badly that he had decided to completely ignore me. But then, about 30 minutes later, I finally got a response. Not from the first seller, but from the second one. He was willing to negotiate, but his counteroffer was $500. Still a little too much for me. So I made one final offer, $400, but he could keep the storage drive since I already had one at home. And somehow, he agreed. Yes, this might genuinely be one of the best deals I've ever managed to negotiate. So now there's only one thing left to do. Wait for it to arrive. And then, about 10 days later, it finally arrived. And I was pretty happy to see that the seller had actually packed it properly with several layers of bubble wrap protecting the entire machine. But the moment I pulled it out of the box, I was surprised by just how heavy this thing is. From the outside, most of the chassis looks like plastic, so I definitely wasn't expecting this much weight. But then again, this is supposed to be a gaming mini PC, not your typical little office computer. And luckily, despite being almost 10 years old, it's still in remarkably good condition. I can barely find any scratches on it at all. As for the design, this thing definitely looks different from almost every gaming PC I've owned. It's compact enough that you could easily carry it around without much effort. And compared to some of the other mini PCs I have, the overall footprint really isn't that much bigger. But aesthetically, it's definitely more functional than flashy. In fact, it looks more like a piece of office equipment than a high-end gaming machine, which probably explains why people have jokingly compared this thing to a high-tech trash can. And the cooling system makes the design even more interesting. Cool air is pulled in from underneath, travels upward through the system, and then hot air is exhausted through the vents at the top. So apparently, Gigabyte looked at a kitchen chimney and thought, yeah, let's build a gaming PC like that. You know what? One day, I might just start collecting all of these weird, outdated gaming PCs, just to see how gaming computers have evolved over the years. But for now, it's time to find out how well this thing actually performs today. But there was one problem. This machine didn't come with any storage. That was part of the deal, though. I told the seller I didn't need the drive since I already had one at home. So before I could actually use this thing, I needed to open it up and install an SSD. And once I got inside, I was pleasantly surprised. It's actually really clean in here, with barely any noticeable dust buildup. Inside, we've got 2 laptop-style RAM slots and 2 storage slots. And if you're wondering where the graphics card is, this is it. The GPU sits right here with this massive heatsink mounted on top of it. The CPU, meanwhile, is actually located on the underside of the motherboard. It's a pretty unusual layout, but considering how little space Gigabyte had to work with, it makes sense. Alright, I'm going to install an SSD I already had lying around, and then we can finally try booting this thing up. And just like a gaming laptop, this PC runs off an external power adapter. The one I have here is rated for 180 watts. Considering its age, I'm just hoping it can still deliver somewhere close to that. Alright, let's power it on. Perfect! We've got a display, and surprisingly, the entire boot process went smoothly without any major problems. So now it's finally time to see exactly what kind of hardware is hiding inside this thing. Ooh! Look at that CPU. It's an Intel Core i7-8700HQ, and at this point, I'm starting to realize what I actually bought. This is basically a gaming laptop without the screen. The 8700HQ has 4 cores and 8 threads, with a maximum boost clock of up to 3.8 GHz. In the single-core benchmark, though, it managed a score of just 382 points. As for memory, this particular machine only has 8 GB of RAM, and for graphics, we've got a GTX 1066 GB. So overall, these specs basically confirm my theory. This thing feels like someone took the guts of an old gaming laptop, ripped off the screen and keyboard, then crammed everything into a ridiculously small NUC-style box. But the biggest concern with this machine isn't the specs, and it isn't the design either, it's the temperature. Even while sitting idle, the CPU is already running surprisingly hot. In fact, I can actually feel the heat pouring out of the vents at the top of the case. And if it's already this hot doing basically nothing, as you can see, the CPU is already hovering at just over 70 degrees Celsius. I'm a little worried about what's going to happen once I start gaming, so let's start with Minecraft. Oh my god. At 32 chunks, I'm only getting around 60 FPS, and I think it's pretty obvious what's holding this machine back. The CPU, you can see it sitting at basically 100% utilization the entire time, and you can definitely feel the impact in-game. The frame rate isn't completely stable either, with occasional drops here and there. But I don't think the CPU itself is entirely to blame. The bigger problem seems to be the cooling system. For a high-performance mobile chip like this, the CPU cooling just doesn't seem efficient enough. Temperatures are climbing past 90 degrees Celsius, and at that point, the processor can start reducing its clock speed to keep itself from getting even hotter. Meanwhile, the GPU is having a much easier time. It's sitting at only around 60 degrees Celsius, so I think it's time to open this thing up again and replace the thermal paste. I have no idea whether anyone has ever done this since the machine left the factory, and wow, even after shutting it down and opening it up, there's still a surprising amount of heat trapped inside. I can literally feel it while I'm working on the machine. I also need to be extremely careful here. There are a lot of tiny components packed into a very small space, and one mistake could easily damage something. And once I finally got down to the CPU, oh my god, the thermal paste is almost completely dried out. Yeah, that could definitely explain those temperatures, so I'm going to clean off all of this old paste, apply a fresh layer, and put everything back together. But since I've already taken the machine apart, I might as well give it a small upgrade while I'm here. As you can see, both the CPU and GPU are soldered directly to the motherboard, so there's no easy way to upgrade either one. Although, I do have an idea for adding a much more powerful GPU to this machine, but that's something we'll come back to later. For now, there's another upgrade that's much easier. Running a gaming PC with a single stick of RAM is almost a crime at this point, and 8 GB is starting to feel pretty limiting for modern games anyway. So I'm adding another 8 GB stick, bringing the total up to 16 GB, and more importantly, giving us dual channel memory. Alright, fresh thermal paste, twice the RAM, and dual channel memory. Let's put everything back together and see if any of this actually makes a noticeable difference. Bro, look at this. The CPU temperature has dropped significantly, now hovering around 80 degrees Celsius. That's still not exactly ideal, but considering how cramped this cooling system is, I'd say it's a much more acceptable result. And adding that second stick of RAM made a surprisingly big difference too. We're now getting around 90 frames per second. But more importantly, the frame rate feels much more stable than it did with just a single stick of RAM. Those random drops are far less noticeable now. Alright. Let's put that GTX 1060 to work. I'm turning on shaders, and surprisingly, even at 32 chunks with shaders enabled at 1080p, the game still manages to stay around 60 FPS. For a tiny gaming PC from 2017, that's actually a pretty solid result. Next, I'm moving on to something much more demanding. Black Myth Wukong. With everything set to low, I'm getting around 45 frames per second, and surprisingly, even during combat, the frame rate stays relatively consistent without any major drops. For hardware this old and compact, it looks like the GTX 1060 is finally reaching its limit. So, I think it's time for a GPU upgrade. Now, this machine doesn't have a traditional PCIe slot, which normally would make upgrading the graphics card basically impossible. But I have another idea. I'm going to use this M.2 NVMe to PCI Express X16 adapter to connect a desktop graphics card directly to the system. And for this experiment, I'm going with an RTX 3060 12GB. The connection itself is actually pretty straightforward. The only catch is that this tiny PC obviously can't provide enough power for a full-size desktop GPU, so I'll need to bring in a separate power supply just for the graphics card. Alright, everything is connected. Let's power it on and see if this ridiculous setup actually works. Perfect, it worked right away. And as you can see, the RTX 3060 is being detected properly by the system. So let's jump back into Black Myth Wukong and see how much of a difference this upgrade actually makes. At low settings, I'm now getting around 80 FPS. During combat, the frame rate can dip to around 70, but overall it stays surprisingly consistent. That's a huge improvement over the GTX 1060. Unfortunately, there's still one problem I haven't been able to completely solve. CPU temperature. Even after replacing the thermal paste, this compact cooling system is still struggling to keep the processor as cool as I'd like. And I think that's ultimately the biggest limitation of this machine. Aside from the thermal issues though, it's still perfectly capable of handling everyday tasks and even some surprisingly demanding games. So after everything we've seen, what do you think? Was this tiny gaming PC ever really worth its $1,000 price tag? Let me know what you think down in the comments.